Next up, we have Tracy Wallace. She is the Director of Marketing at Marketerhire. She's going to talk about what I think is such a hot topic right now. It's the great resignation of marketers and the freelancer revolution. Tracy, we love having you. You're, such a part of the Founder Made family now, always talking about how we, anytime you come on and do a workshop, we just all talk about it in the Founder Made team after. So can't wait to hear what you have to say today.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so excited to be here, though I will say I have never been told by the people here that I have had a look like I've had a great facial. So I am ready. Hi, everybody. As you heard, I'm Tracy Wallace. I'm the Director of Marketing over at Marketerhire. And I am here today to talk about the Great Resignation because I hopped on for the last about 20 minutes or so of the last conversation, and there were so many great ideas, so many like great things to dive into, and all I could think was, buddy, y'all are going to need a lot of help to do a lot of this work, and it's hard to hire out there right now. So I'm not here to help stoke fears. I'm here hopefully to de-stoke fears, whatever the opposite of that is. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we can hop on in to some fun data that my team just gathered. All right. In August 2021, the greatest number of workers in 20 years quit. Pretty sure everybody on this call knows that, has been reading about it, maybe has felt it themselves, either in their own employees. Maybe you're part of it. Maybe you started a brand because since COVID started, you've decided to quit whatever job you were at and either move to another job or start a new company. This is happening across the board. Marketerhire actually did a survey this past summer. I think it was June of 2021, and found out that 48% of marketers were planning on quitting in the next 6 months. 48%. That is a lot of people leaving their jobs, and the media has not talked about this, right? But you got a bunch of headlines here, and all of it is, this is bad, this is not good, this is scary for employers. And so as a result, it's been called the Great Resignation, but I'm here because I want to flip that for everybody, and I want to talk about it as a freelance revolution. Now, to be fair, this freelance revolution didn't just begin in August in 2021, even in 2020. This has been happening, honestly, I think I first started hearing about it in 2018, as more people were, yes, quitting, but starting up their own freelance businesses, and organizations were really looking for that kind of help. What this is, though, and the way I want to walk you through this is, the freelance revolution isn't something that is just good for individual workers, right? I mean, for them, it can provide, really great, flexible hours. You can control your schedule more, control what projects you work on. Yes. Great. Sure. But for employers, and this was really the question that my team wanted to figure out, which was, for people who need to hire people, and we study, marketers, freelance marketers, and the companies that hire them. So for people who hire marketers, whether that's full-time or freelance, whatever it is the Great Resignation really hurting them the way that these media headlines say that they are? Or are they finding other ways to kind of come at the problem? And we found there's other ways to come at the problem, in particular, really leaning into the problem and what the problem has ultimately caused, which is there are a lot of really fantastic free agents out there that you might otherwise, as a brand, not be able to hire because they're too expensive and they want, very fancy benefit packages and a variety of other things. But because they aren't working full time and they're freelancing instead, or because they're moonlighting, you actually can get access to this talent. So before I dive into just some of the data, which I think is just really going to help you all feel maybe better about maybe struggling to hire folks when you hear what other people are saying, I do want to talk a little bit about methodology here. So we surveyed 606 total respondents. All of them held one of the following titles: manager, director, C-suite, executive, and or owner of their companies, all based here in the United States. We do have a margin of error over here of about plus or minus 4%. So keep that in mind. We'll certainly share this with folks afterwards. And then of course, we'll take questions, because I'm gonna try to run through this. We only have 30 minutes and less now. Okay, cool. So to start, 68% of people say it is really freaking hard to hire right now, or over the last 12 months, that it is very, very hard to find people. On top of that, 79% of people say, business needs are constantly changing. That is very true, especially in 2021. With Apple releasing a variety of different privacy first updates. This is going to continue into 2022. Google will be releasing their privacy first updates as well. The privacy first world is here to stay. We are all being dragged very much into it, which means the way you attribute your revenue and which marketing channels are affected, all of that's going to change in a very near future, and people are needing to figure out how to properly manage that. Cool. 67% of respondents say that finding in-house marketing talent is getting more difficult. So 68% said just hiring in-house is really hard. 67% said hiring marketing talent in particular is really hard. And there's a lot of reasons behind this, y'all. Again, there's privacy changes and updates. A lot of marketers are in like crazy high demand right now. They're able to command very high dollar, and it's because our world is shifting really, really quickly. There's still a lot of really great fundamentals. You want great site design and UX. There's email foundations. SMS is being added as a channel, which isn't like old by any means, but it's like kind of more traditional in the sense of when you look at what's happening on social media with social truly turning into this like really powerhouse role, and communities becoming incredibly important, and like what's happening in the metaverse, like I don't know exactly. We're all going to be figuring that out together. There are a lot of new marketing roles, a lot of emphasis on new marketing positioning that folks are really needing to figure out. And it's hard to find people who have those skills. Cool. 95% of people said that the pandemic uncertainty and labor shortages made them pushed them to start hiring freelance marketers. Now I won't say, and I believe this presentation will talk about this here in the next few slides, which maybe I'll go and see. Yeah, no, it doesn't yet. I'll go to that one in a second. Not everyone that we surveyed was excited about going and using freelance talent. A lot of them weren't, but they were forced to, right? When you can't find the talent that you necessarily want to hire in-house, and you still really need to get a project done, and you're hitting up against your own bandwidth, and you want to keep up with competitors. I mean, the market just forces you to try something else out. So 95% of people did go and try that, and we'll talk a little bit about some of those folks who didn't want to do that and how that experience went for them. So 80% of business leaders say that they have hired a freelance marketing professional recently. So that recently is over the last 6 to 12 months. And then 10% of business leaders have yet to, but plan to over the next year. So we just see more and more folks really looking to bring folks on. Again, there's more data behind this that isn't really presented here, but the creator economy is on the rise. A lot of marketers, a lot of professionals are moving into those roles and kind of acting more as educators and stewards, right? Making money outside of professional businesses, or working full-time for places. And as that trend continues, I mean, y'all, the amount of investment that is going into these creator platforms that is, again, luring people away from full-time roles, the more and more organizations themselves are ultimately going to need to find more flexible ways to work with folks. A lot of people are still hesitant. This slide in particular points out older generations. It wasn't just them alone, but 1 in 10 business leaders say that they have not outsourced any work to freelance marketers, have absolutely no plans to do so. 70% of respondents in their 60s, or respondents in their 60s, were 70% more likely to not hire freelancers. Respondents in their 50s were 50% more likely not to. There could be a generational bias here, but again, a lot of people did not want to hire freelancers. It wasn't like top of their list. And there's a lot of reasons for this. Historically, freelancers have been a little bit of like the other F word. People haven't been too terribly excited to hire them in, whether that's you're not sure necessarily how to onboard them, working from home historically, or not from the office itself has it's been questionable, or it's been viewed from a cultural point of view as questionable. You don't know what somebody's really working on or doing. The quality might not be great. So again, we'll go over those folks that were kind of forced into it over the last year, and how that turned out for them. Awesome. Some more reasons here why people are concerned about freelancers. One of the biggest is they just aren't sure that they're going to properly communicate, right? Sometimes it's easier when people are full-time to bring them into those Slack channels and groups and whatever it might be, and like work with them one-on-one directly to, I don't know, to figure out proper communication styles. Not always as easy to do with freelancers. Bad press also made people very wary of freelancers. So 77% of those who are hesitant to hire freelancers blamed media coverage for their reluctance, which is I find so fascinating now. I'm constantly looking. I'm like, where's the press talking about bad freelancers? But anyways, I'd love to hear from all of y'all if that's been the case for y'all as well. Cool. So nearly all leaders, this is what I meant earlier when I said everyone was worried, not everyone wanted to do this. All leaders have been worried about freelancers at first. So 83% of people, 83% of the people we surveyed said they were worried, they were hesitant to go the freelance route. Most of them were forced to do so simply by market conditions. But most people, thankfully, had very good experiences with those freelancers. And there's a lot of reasons for this. One, a lot of the myths about freelancers are just that, they're myths. Also, you have a lot of very high quality, very, very well qualified people leaving full-time roles and really joining freelance full-time. So 97% of those who were initially hesitant to hire freelancers said that it paid off. 72% described the experience working with a freelancer as great. And 98% said that the freelancer either exceeded or met the standards of their companies, which is really fantastic when you're trying to get projects over the line, keep your business moving forward, stay up to pace with those marketing trends, but not be held back by really just how challenging that market, the job market is. Have mercy. Awesome. So freelancers help marketing teams work better. So 81% of business leaders surveyed, agreed that their company's marketing department is more effective when using freelance marketers. 85% said that it's, able to target more precisely. 81% found there's a wider access to talent and skills. Overall, though, and it helps marketing teams move faster, all of that jazz. But ultimately, beyond like how effective it can be for your marketing team, for you personally, a lot of this comes down to a lot of marketing teams in-house at organizations, founding teams, even marketers who are like founders who have a marketing side. Geez, you are working on so much stuff, right? Like, I mean, it is exhausting. I'm a marketer myself, and like the requests never end. My wife is a nurse, and she ends her day and her day is done. And I have just gotten into a very good habit of knowing and understanding that in my line of work, there is no done, right? There's always more things to do. And that stresses a lot of people out. Burnout has really been an issue over the last couple of years, with COVID just adding on more stress, not being able to see people, a variety of things, likely very much contributing to the Great Resignation. So a lot of this is also really just about helping teams get stronger and to better balance their work-life balance. So hit those same goals, have all those things that it is that you still want to do without wearing out that internal team or yourself, if you're ultimately the one that's doing a lot of that. So a couple more stats here. 85% agreed that their companies benefited from the flexibility. 91% found it easier to match freelancer skills to very specific jobs. I will say, if you are leaning towards bringing freelancers on, if you haven't done it before, if you've had a bad experience before, something very important to know is that freelancers do work far better when a project, or like when the thing to do, the thing that you need done is projectitized, right? So like you want to do your best to like get it into a one pager, provide as many resources and examples as you can within there. You want to like limit that scope so that you can, as a result, move from like project to project to project, keeping that scope as like focused as possible. We often recommend having a full full-time marketer in-house. This can be more of a general marketer, or more, I guess they call them like T-shaped, one of the more T-shaped marketers, who can ultimately act as the project manager. So assigning things out to these folks, bringing them in, editing them to fit the brand, and then like getting them over the line. You as a founder could always do that as well, but it is really important. You do want to treat this as a project management. Like, here are the different projects we need. Here are the freelancers that are going to tackle that. Here's the one pager for those projects. These are the due dates for them. This is how we're going to make this work. Awesome. Freelancers also help companies grow. So 81% of the folks we surveyed agreed that their companies grew more quickly or able to scale more quickly when they were hiring freelancers. 85% said that their businesses experienced more growth. Those are pretty similar stats. 45% of business leaders, or 45% is the amount that business leaders said their company had grown in revenue since they began working with freelancers, which what that stat ultimately says to me is that there are a lot of projects that like people deprioritize or like just put on the sideline because they cannot possibly get to them. That wouldn't be the case if you were able to bring freelancers in. And so you're just able to produce more, you're able to do more. As a result, maybe sometimes look like a larger company, whatever it might be, but there's certainly quite a bit of benefit to honestly just getting things over the line. Okay, cool. So this is true for small businesses and enterprises, but these are like the freelancing, like folks hiring freelancers. But these are the freelancers that these different organizations hire most often. So social media marketers, brand marketers, and Amazon marketers across the board are the most in demand. Makes total sense. I think in the privacy first web, social media marketing and community building has become a huge lever for brands, especially direct to consumer brands. Brand marketing, like direct to consumer brands need like they live and breathe brand marketing. That's part of who they are. And then Amazon marketing can often be a really tough role to hire for. It's a like large scope of a variety of different activities that you need someone to do. And it's often better just to have someone do it who's already done it before. It's kind of like paid search in that way, right? Cool. Working with freelancers saves leadership, time, and energy. Talked about this one a little bit already. Here are some stats behind it though. So 94% said that working with freelancers made the hiring process itself faster. Hiring can be tough beyond just the market that we're in now. So often when like you are hitting up against a wall and you need to get a project done and you're like, okay, I can't do it. I'm going to need to bring someone in. The bringing someone in, the amount of interviews, talking to people, I mean, my goodness, like that in and of itself is a full-time job. So sometimes freelance can help with that. Even right now, a good example that my team's working on is, we're hiring for a full-time product marketer. But in the meantime, we're bringing on a freelancer just to get a couple projects started, some competitive analyses, messaging, a variety of different things, so that product marketer, one, when they come in, have a foundation to work off of, and two, so that while we're really looking for the right fit for our organization, we're still getting some of the work done that we really need to get done. Cool. Working with freelancers saves money. This is my favorite one, and I am just like blown away by these numbers. I don't know why, but for small businesses in particular, they said $71,000 was the average amount that they saved by hiring freelancers. That isn't like an annual amount. That is by marketing campaign, and a lot of companies run like a campaign every month, so that's a lot of money. Enterprises over there said almost 124K that they were saving by hiring freelancers. So this isn't just about time. This isn't just about moving, more quickly and bringing more peace to your brain, getting more sleep at night. Freelancers can also really help increase your bottom line as well as save you some money. Okay, cool. So business leaders have found that marketing freelancers have a lot of key insights. This is why a lot of people go to agencies, right? Agencies work with a lot of different brands. You can talk to them about, like you get this hive mind of all these like really great ideas that they have. a lot of freelancers right now, because they're working with a variety of different brands and because a lot of them come from pretty high profile brands themselves, buddy, you get the same thing without that agency overhead. So 83% of people, agreed that freelance marketers tend to bring innovative ideas to the table. 85% said that they are advanced when they come to knowing what those new tools and technologies are. Super helpful. And then they're pleasant, professional, strategic partners. That's what you need. If freelancers aren't that, keep in mind, if you aren't getting what you need from a freelancer, I mean, my best advice here is like, go ahead and like give yourself, I don't know, 2 to 4 weeks, depending on what that scope of that project is. And if you aren't getting what you need out of that, go find another one. People are, as we all know, individuals. Freelance as a profession is being more and more professionalized, right? I'm a big believer that in 2022, we're going to see a lot of tools come to market that are going to be like a freelancer stack, helping with taxes, 401ks, or just savings in general, healthcare, a variety of different things. As that happens, this industry is going to become more and more professional. So if you find yourself kind of a bad apple, know that the orchard is not rotten. Cool. Business leaders who work with freelancers already outsource nearly half of their marketing work. So of people who are working with freelance marketers, they say they are outsourcing 46% of their marketing work to freelancers. That is huge. I don't know if I have it by states in here. I don't, dang it. Okay, well, North Carolina and Texas are outsourcing like the most. It's like almost all of it. I think in North Carolina, it's like 70 something percent. In Texas, it's like 60 something percent. So I don't know exactly what's happening in the States. I am here in Austin, Texas, and I'm not a freelancer, so not exactly sure what's happening, but those states in particular are really outsourcing quite a bit. And then of course, people are planning on increasing their budgets in 2022 for freelance help, as as they build their budgets this year, plan for what's to come, and are likely really building in some buffers for what could happen in the world. All of us have learned that our organizations and our plans need to be far more agile and flexible than they were prior to COVID. And so folks are really planning for that. Cool. And then this is what I was talking about with the hesitance. So 94% of those who are hesitant to hire a freelance marketer agreed that they would be more likely to do so if the freelancer were vetted by a talent platform or recruiting agency. Maybe this wasn't exactly what I was talking about, but that's a fun stat. Dang it. I'm going to have to go back and get that stat and send it to y'all. We do have all of this data, downloadables, a variety of different things over at Marketerhire. It's marketerhire.com/freelance- market-stats. But in there, we also talk about of the amount of people who are really hesitant to move forward, more than 90% of them were very, very happy that they did. Awesome. Okay, that's it. I think I am coming up, I'm 5 minutes before my time, so I probably have time for just a few questions. But all of this to say, y'all, really what my goal here to come and talk to y'all about today was really just trying to ease some of those fears. I know the Great Resignation can be scary, especially as entrepreneurs trying to build an organization. You need help. You can't do this on your own. You're not expected to do this on your own. There are other options out there. Please, please, please do not think that because that Great Resignation is happening, that you're the one who needs to be taking on all those responsibilities and really lose sight of your mental health and potentially physical health as a result.
You make it really fun to watch like a presentation.
Oh, great. Good, yeah. Good.
Just a comment.
I'm glad. Good. I'm glad. But yes, I mean, I'll tell y'all when I found out we were going to come talk to the Founder Made group, and I was really trying to think through like, okay, what could I go and talk to them about that would be like helpful? I mean, I often talk to a lot of D2C founders and folks. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather started a company back in the 1950s that is still up and running today, which is beautiful and amazing. And I landed on this because I was like, look, these headlines scare me. Like every time I see those headlines, I'm like, should I quit? What is happening? And then when you really flip that and look at it from the business perspective, it's like, okay, what is happening here? Are organizations able to keep up? Hiring people is expensive. And then losing those people, what, a month, like 3 months to 6 months to a year in, that's really expensive. There has to be other ways. The world's changing. How we hire is changing. How people like to work is changing. We all really got to lean into that flexibility and agility, and like avert our eyes when we see a really scary Great Resignation headline.
Yeah, I mean, so a question just came in, speaking of hiring. What is the top question you should ask a freelancer ahead of hiring them to determine if they're a fit? Great question.
Yeah, it is. It is a great question. And it's always going to depend on the type of freelancer that you're bringing in. So if you yourself as a founder or just a hiring manager, if you do not have a ton of expertise in what it is that you're trying to hire for, I highly recommend trying to find someone in your network, a friend, an investor, an advisor, somebody who knows a lot about that area, and asking them to help vet that person, because it can be really hard to suss out who's telling. It's not that they're not telling the truth, but I mean, it can be hard to suss this stuff out, even harder if you aren't incredibly familiar with that area yourself. So if you're trying to hire, whether, like for me, if I was trying to hire a developer, I would call up a developer friend and be like, please help me to figure it out. So that's my best advice there. If you know it really well yourself, certainly ask all the questions, that you would know well. Other things though, where people I think fail when it comes to freelancers, is asking about communication style and preferences. One important thing that we're actually doing over at Marketerhire right now is building out user manuals for ourselves, the hours that we work, the ways we like to be best contacted, a variety of different things. Highly recommend doing that internally for you and your team. But you can also even have, freelancers that you're bringing on do that kind of work as well, which just really helps to build trust between teams and organizations, so that you know when people are online, when they're working, how to message them.
It's such a great way to manage expectations too.
Yeah.
Say, oh, maybe this person likes to work all night and stay up all
Right.
night. So
A lot of developers like to do that.
Yeah. Night owls unite.
Yes. Yes.
I have one more question. Let's see. What do you recommend for brands with limited budgets to make a big impact?
For brands with limited budgets to make a big impact, that's very vague, but let me see if I can come up with an answer.
I think maybe with hiring a freelancer.
With hiring a freelancer in particular. So one, I would try to, if you are still very early on, small budget, don't have a lot of people on your team, trying to figure out what your strategy is, like what your market is, I would go after someone who is a more generalized marketer versus a more specialized marketer first. Freelance has made it so amazing that startups can go out and hire specialized marketers without having to pay an incredible amount of money. Like enterprises, those large organizations were the only ones who could do that for so long, right? And they were able to succeed in a lot of ways that startups weren't. As a result, though, people now can hire those specialized folks always, but you need a strategy. Like you need an overall vision, you need an overall strategy. Those specialized freelancers that you hire in are going to ask for that. So if you're starting from zero and you're like, okay, I need to put something together and I need help doing that, I would go for a more generalized marketer. There are a lot of fractional CMOs out there now, so you can get an actual big picture thinker on the team building out a strategy. Technically, what that person will do, they'll help you build out that strategy and then essentially say like what roles and people you need to execute on that strategy. You could then keep them on to have them manage those people, or that could be the end of your relationship with a fractional CMO. And now you go hire those specialized people to like execute on what you needed, right? So like, don't think that as you bring these freelancers on, freelancers very much understand a lot of their roles are scoped to very specific projects, right? So you can stagger who you bring on, when, where, and why. Bring on a CMO or a growth marketer, and then bring on the social media person or the email person, and like stagger as you go, turning some people on, like closing down other ones as you're doing it, to help save you money while still getting a lot of those things over the line.
I love that. It's kind of like a build your own salad too. I need a little bit more of this, a little more of
Have you
this.
had lunch today?
I actually haven't. Maybe I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Good call. All the knowledge is feeding my mind, but this is a good point. But yeah, so thank you so much, Tracy. That's
Of
time. If you
course.
have more questions for Tracy, Tracy, do you want to put a contact in the chat box? So everyone can
Yes,
see you?
I will. It's just Tracy at marketerhire.com. That's where you can find me.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.